Hello, everybody. Welcome to the DEWANDREW Conspiracy. I have myself, Andrew, and my lovely co-host, Mr. Dew, and we are here to conspire with y'all. And just for anyone who might have any misconceptions, this is not a political conspiracy. We're not like the rest of those losers conspiring. We're doing it the real way, through breath and through love. And speaking of breath, I got a new technique for us today. It is called Bakstra breathing. I may have butchered that pronunciation. Bastrika. There we go. Bastrika breathing. It's also known as the bellows breath. And it's real simple. You sit in a comfortable position, straight spine, close your eyes, and then you go through the nose. And as we inhale, we're going to raise our arms, and as we exhale, we're going to lower our arms. And it kind of just creates some expansion and contraction in the chest. But anyway, you do it kind of rapid, so we'll do 10 quick breaths, and then we'll just do one slow one, and then we'll round it out. So yeah, if you can get comfortable, any wiggles out, close down the eyes if you can. And go ahead and get your fist sort of ready, and then we'll go ahead and take it's in through the nose, up, and then exhale down. And we'll do that 10 times. Amazing. Oh, I may have missed lost count, but one big deep breath in and back out. Amazing. And you can do multiple rounds of that. I do notice that I start to get just a slight bit lightheaded when I do that one, so I think...
Chills up my spine, Andrew.
Okay. The bellows breath, Bakastra. And we're coming to today's episode to bring some new perspectives, hopefully. I don't know, Dale, did you want to kick off with a poem?
Sure. As I might have announced, but as I know you know, Andrew, I'm putting together a poetic explanation of schizophrenia. It was basically a mission that Pedro Deo, who's my sort of like Christian mentor, gave me. He said, "What's God's mission for you?" At the beginning of July. So, I immediately had a flash, write a book of poetry explaining schizophrenia to the American public. So, at first I was going to write 100 poems, and then I figured out that 64 is like a much more copacetic number for me. It's 8 times 8, which is infinity squared, and there are all sorts of symbols. There are 64 hexagrams in the I Ching, and 64 just comes up a lot. So within the next. At first, I wanted to get it all done within July and have a PDF ready, by the beginning of August. But actually, I didn't finish writing the poems. I wrote 64 poems. I finished about August 8th, and now I'm transcribing them from my handwritten originals to a Word document, and I'm hoping to have that available for the public as a lead generator anyway for my Live Love program, probably within a week or two. So I just decided I'm going to give a little sample of some of the stuff that's in the book, and I'll start with this one. It goes, looking at the deeper issue. What does it mean to have psychic affect? Psychic affect is my term for mental illness, because I think it's a lot more neutral, and I don't think it's an illness. I think it's a brain condition. So Not going to split hairs, but I call it psychic affect. So, what does it mean to have psychic affect? What is it you fear you need to protect? Is it indeed special knowledge of God and how you have him in your human bod? What is it he said from the very start when into Adam he gave breath of life, creating from nothing the greatest art, being able to destroy any strife? Even as universe still evolves into luminescent rubies of eyes, with which you watch returning old and wise, as all illusions of earth now dissolve, as every human enters kingdom of cosmos that has been built by wisdom. And actually, I didn't even realize how much this is going to dovetail into what we're talking about today. But before I talk about today, I think it's appropriate we turn to Sid Banks and see what he has to say before we get carried away in a emotional discussion. Uh, this is page 22 of The Missing Link by Sid Banks. It goes, he's just introduced the concept of mind, thought, and consciousness as the trinity of psychology. So, mind, consciousness, and thought are spiritual gifts that enable us to see creation and guide us through life. All three are universal constants that can never change and never be separated. All philosophies are born via these three gifts and are a direct result of the correct or incorrect usage of these same principles. All psychological functions are born from these three principles. I think that's a big enough page right there to sit on. But all psychological functions are born from these three principles. So that means that basically all good and evil, however you perceive it, all good and evil generates from these three universal principles of human integration: thought, mind, and awareness. So, and that being said, I think the title of this episode is, and maybe it will be an episode, Andrew. I meant every time I used to get put in the hospital, they said it was an episode. So.
Yes, we have only psychotic episodes on this channel. Thank you very much.
Actually, you're the grounding principle.
Yeah,
I'm the crazy one, but
yeah.
want to
Good,
talk.
like our version of good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, and
Why do I gotta be the bad cop? Is what I want to know.
you want to know why you're the bad cop?
Yeah.
You aren't.
Okay,
You're
good.
the good cop. I'm the bad cop. I'm the
Well,
one who
okay.
threatens everybody. I'm the one who like say you're going to go to Fred or something. You know, I meant, and you just come on and say, okay, Dale, calm down. And everything. So I meant you're the Drew Christ figure of this LorDEWGod duo. So you're the attorney, you're the counselor and the attorney for for those who are accused. So I'm basically the prosecutor. So uh, but that notwithstanding, I am psychotic, and it's something that I'm not going to argue with anymore. And it's I mean I came up with a great idea for a T-shirt. Me and Rose are like going to start a design company, and my first great idea for a T-shirt was we'll get along fine as long as we'll get along fine as soon as you acknowledge that I'm criminally insane.
Never. Never. Won't do it. Can't do it. Can't make me.
I appreciate that. You see, but so that's really what I wanted to talk to you about today. And I I don't want to focus on me because your history and the things that have brought you and I together are equally as significant. So, I'm in a recent meeting we had. You were doing sort of like a quick bio, and one thing you mentioned was that you visited 17 countries. Tell us about that.
Thanks, Dale. Yeah, it all started with getting married, but yeah, my ex-wife was definitely aspiring like world traveler, and so she got us started with a trip to Vietnam, and it
And
was
what year?
that would have been like 2016, 2017. Yeah, I think 2016, and we arrived in Vietnam. Didn't have a passport or anything like that. I had to go through that whole process, and then we went to Vietnam, or she wanted to go to Europe, and I'm like, hey, let's go somewhere less basic. And so we talked to her stepdad, and he's a FedEx pilot, so he travels internationally all the time. And she's like, well, if you could go to one country, where would it be? And he said Vietnam. So that sealed our fate, and we went there and had an amazing experience. It was I mean, just to experience a different culture and the way that they move through life and the energy of it was fascinating. And also just to see, Vietnam, which, we
Right.
have this like history with as a country, and to see how there's scars certainly from our time over there, but the people, they love us literally. Of course, we also have money, which
Right, right.
doesn't hurt. So, and then we came back from that trip, and actually, no, before we left for that trip, I was out. One of my senior vice president for State Street came into town, and he liked to go out drinking on the regular, and so we went out drinking, and my wife ended up coming out to join us at some point. So it was my boss, the senior vice president, and my wife, and she started like kind of giving him shit and being like, "So when you?" Because she knew about this India opportunity, and she's like, "So when are you gonna send Andrew to India?" And he busts out his little BlackBerry because that was what they had, and
Right.
sends a text to the guy who's running the new project over in India, and says, "Hey, I got this guy who would be good." So anyway,
Well,
we I got the
thank God bless your wife for that, right?
well, yeah, dude. It was
Uh,
fortuitous, as they say. But as we have observed, all things happen the way they're supposed to happen, and so yeah, that happened, and I interviewed for the position. Pretty much just gave it to me, and a few months later, we were packing for India, and we signed up for a 6 month contract, and we got there for a few months, and my boss was like, "Hey, could you extend?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, if you promote me." so,
right.
so I got a promotion in order to stay for another year and a half, and so during that time, we were in India, and we were so close
And
to all
where in
these.
India?
It
Where
was
were
a
you based?
it was a city called Hyderabad, and I was working for a financial services company, and we were basically setting up a new office in that city, and then another one in a city not too far away. So we were setting up two offices, sort of as a company in this in India. But yeah, Hyderabad's kind of like south central ish. It's an up and
Isn't
coming
that
city.
called something else? Or is I thinking Islamabad, Pakistan or something?
Yeah, that sounds right. No, it's always been that name. There are some cities in India that have changed names or have two names. It's kind of
Right.
weird, but no, Hyderabad never was their own thing. And so when I was there, we were a direct flight to a lot of countries, and so like it felt appropriate to take advantage of that opportunity while we were over there, because you travel from the states, it's going to be a one day
Right, right.
whole day thing, right? And from there it could be a few hours. So we did, and it was awesome. Filled up a whole passport, had to get a new one, and
Wow. And what was that? What was a highlight? What one or two countries that were highlights in your mind?
um, Australia and the Philippines. The Philip Australia, just because it. You go to the Sydney Opera House, or you see these iconic images, and then
Right.
you get to be in that place. The Great Barrier Reef, I mean, iconic, right? And yeah, the fish of the Great Barrier Reef. It was awesome. We got to snorkel. My wife scuba and ex-wife now, and explored that area and the culture. I don't know. Aussie culture is like super chill. I like them. And then Philippines, just because it's such a beautiful country and it's so cheap. And we did. I mean, I saw more sea turtles, I think, in the Philippines than anywhere else. This giant school of fish. I mean, so
Right.
much underwater, like just adventure. But and then you have it's warmer and close to the equator and all that. But I would say those were the two high. Bali would be like a close third, and then Thailand would be number four. But
Yeah,
yeah, they're all.
I did a 2 week tour of Asia set up by Neiman Marcus and my mother's demand from to go from London to Honolulu in 2 weeks through Asia. So,
Okay.
and at first, this is 1974, 73, 74. So, at first, the judge wanted me to take, he always loved trains, right? So he wanted me to take the Trans-Siberian Railroad in 1974 at the height of the Cold War through 10,000 miles of Siberia to Vladivostok to fly to Honolulu. And I sort of said, I'm sorry, I don't think that's a very good idea. So,
Dang.
so, so my mother, who actually Neiman Stanley Marcus gave my sister her 16th or 18th birthday party in Dallas. So my mother was very close to Neiman Marcus, and so they put together a student tour for me. It was 3 days in India, 4 days in Thailand, uh, 3 days in 4 days in Hong Kong, and 2 days in Tokyo, and then Honolulu. So basically, the four most depressing days of my life were those in India. I was just like overwhelmed by the poverty. I was staying in New Delhi at like a government hotel. Very fancy and obviously ritzy and stuff. And I walk up on my balcony the first day, and it's just like shanty town and like 10 roofs and everything, and just like, and then I hired a driver to take me around the temples and everything, and of course every time you show up at the temple, they have like 10 guys like asking you for money and everything. So basically, so that was India
Yeah, it
for me.
hasn't changed much in 45 years.
Right. Well, that's what I picked. But so that's what got me down. But then I went to Thailand, which was like the best 5 days of my life. And I'm not going to go on the air about what happened in Thailand, but I'll tell you privately sometime. And it really was like the best 5 days of my life because as I said, my father was a director in Richardson, Merrill, and they had like a big office in Bangkok. So, like a 25-man office in Bangkok. So, the head of the whole office, the wife of the head of the whole office, like showed me around and treated me great, and went to like this I stayed an extra day because they were having a company party, and it was like the best party I ever went to. And then I went to Hong Kong and hung out with a friend who I'd been in English boarding school with, and then Tokyo, and Honolulu. So that was my 2 week trip through Asia.
Dude, yeah, that sounds incredible. I've been to all those places except Hong Kong. My ex-wife did make it out there while we were in India, but I didn't have time. And it's sort of funny, like it's not funny at all. We're talking about this, and I'm wearing my Chakra
Right.
Enjoy the Ride shirt. So, Chakra Athletica is a business one of my friends who I met in India started after I left, and it's a spin studio that she started in India, and it's called Chakra Athletica. And Enjoy the Ride is because you're riding a bicycle, a stationary bike.
Right,
So
right,
also life.
right, right. Well, you say I never notice your shirts. I always notice your shirts. I just like wait for the right time to mention them. But chakra is very, very significant not only for whatever that business is, but also the fascia DNA and chakra trinity that we discovered with Gabby.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I had never even heard of a chakra uh, until her studio, and then all of a sudden 5 years later, it's like, oh, yeah, very familiar now with the chakra system. So yeah, life took a hard turn left when I started traveling internationally because it just exposes you to a whole different way of being. I mean, you pointed out India, right? What a contrast to what we experience here in America. And yeah, there was some culture shock coming back because it feels like we are worried about a lot of nonsense that does not matter,
Right.
and there's like a survival component in India, but yet the people, from my experience, were so like childlike and joyful, and there was more play in their lives, and so yeah, they're poor in money and stuff, but in community and love, I think they got us
Right.
by a long ways.
That reminds me of a story. So I'm showing off my background a little bit, but I don't mean to show it. I don't mean to show it off, but is my background. So anyway, the judge and my mother went on a round the world Queen Elizabeth cruise, and they had like a trip to India, a day trip to India and everything. And they got in like this isolated village or something. I don't know where they were, but anyway, the bus broke down, and so like the whole village like just came together and like started pushing the bus until it could get started, and they were on their way and everything. But then not only to my mother, but to me, that really typifies that feeling of happiness that a lot of people who think that we think are in miserable conditions are actually experiencing within because they don't have the pressure, the illusion of like possession and need for stuff, whereas everything comes within, from within, and the inner happiness they feel is incomparably uh, incomprehensible to a lot of people in more Western society. Uh, and that's one thing I realized. It's like rather than feel guilty for their poverty, I should just like you know help them as I can, but also empathize and but not not patronize.
Well, I think it comes back to the one of the four agreements, right? We're making an assumption that they're having a certain type of experience. We're projecting our experience on to them, and then creating this whole story that is not based in reality. And so until you walked in someone else's shoes, as they say, you and even then you don't have the full flavor of it. You're a lot closer to it. You can understand it better. But yeah, we in my opinion, most people who haven't had that exposure just are missing huge chunks of information about the nature of reality. And so I'm very thankful for the experience that I was able to have, to travel those places and see
Right.
what it's like on the ground, being there and feeling it and sensing it, as opposed to having it just be sort of theoretical.
Yeah, it's really the myopia that I've gone through. I mean, Doc used to have trips. We had at least one trip, maybe two trips to Italy, one to Mexico, and one to Spain with Doc when I was in my 5 years in the program. Basically, that's a myopia that's been descended upon me by my lunacy, my 50 years of lunacy, because when I was like, until I was taken away from Dartmouth, I was traveling all the time. I went to boarding school, so I would like fly back and forth from Exeter, from Boston to New York, like 8 times a year and stuff, and I would fly to Oklahoma City. I had like no fears about flying. I mean, now I don't have any fears about flying. I just hate airports and I hate security. And that's why I avoid planes. But I forgot what I was going to say.
Well, you said it, so. Yeah. So I mean, good. I mean, I think I hope as many people as possible can have expansive experiences like that. I think it's important for personal development, or it certainly was a catalyst for mine. I
Oh,
know.
I know what it was. So since Dartmouth, I've really been like restricted in my travel. And now that I'm released from the hospital of the moon, I plan on traveling again.
Good.
I mean, I always have Hackensack. I always have THC as my home base. That's my safe place. But, I really plan on starting to really enjoy life in the way I was meant to, in a way that I'm not going to say denied because I'm not going to be a victim, but in a way that I haven't experienced in the last 50 years because of other obligations.
Yeah. 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 Well, that's good. I think, we don't have to be victims of our past, to your point, and so we can live whatever life we want to live now, and that's all we have. So, dwelling on it, or holding any resentment, is just, it doesn't pull you forward. So it doesn't add like value to this experience. Yeah.
So basically, the motto and that they put me away for twice in 1978 is now on the street and Dale is loose and they can't stop him from saying it anymore, which is fun, drugs, and rock and roll.
Is that the Trinity now?
Yep, that's the new motto.
Yeah.
And anybody who doesn't want us to have fun can fret off.
Yeah, well, I think there's some value in that. It's a great way to undo the programming, is just to have some fun, see what happens, test the limits a little bit. I don't know, that's always been in my nature. So, I think that's part of why I've had such a good time.
I think so, and I think that's also part of why you're here right now.
Yeah.
Because you've always been yourself.
Yeah, that's, well, more or less. Sometimes less, but it's becoming more and more all the time, for better or worse. So.
Well, even when you didn't realize who yourself was, you always were. It's sort of like I say, Dale was not always perfect, but I've always been a perfect Dale.
There you go. Yeah, yeah. No, I'm doing pretty good. I'm proud of myself. I've seen some shit and made it through the other side, but also had just like a lot of blessings and I've created pretty okay scenarios.
Right. So, we're exactly at half an hour. So this is really what I think. This is where we should like address what evaporating the veil is about.
Sure.
And I know this is like a very sensitive subject with a lot of people, and for a long time it was like the primary subject in my mind, such as like, if I say I'm God, then am I really the devil? And the omniversal obliteration of September 27th, 1984 proved to me that if I kept saying I was God, I was going to lead the universe to destruction. And so basically Dale died and Dewey took over. Dewey was an android whose program was sit in the hack and sack until I return, meaning Dale. But there was no guarantee Dale would ever return. But Dale has returned, and now, after 50 years in the Hospital of the Moon, Dale is free, and therefore I am declaring myself that not only am I not Dale, and Dewey is in recovery, in rehab after all the wars he's been through, but I have achieved the highest self of Dew, which is LorDEWGod. And you, Andrew, are the Drew Christ. So, therefore, I'm just, here's the veil. Tear the veil in half.
Hey guys, here we are.
There's our moment. But, so, the veil of the temple has been torn because the third temple that everybody's talking about has already been built in THC for the last 70 years. And if I am the devil, then I'm going to pay the consequences. If God decides that THC is the new Sodom and Gomorrah, which is a possibility, then I'm going to take the full load of God's wrath. Nobody else is going to be affected. So basically, when Drew Christ and I talk, we're talking from what I won't say we. I say I am talking from a perspective of not only biblical knowledge but also other text knowledge and my own experience of thinking I was God, from which I've liberated myself. And now I don't think I'm God. I don't think I'm the devil. I think they both are subsets of Dale, who's from the Omniverse.
There we are. Okay. What do you think, guys? Can you handle all that? Yeah.
And the Omniverse is the realm of the kingdom of Christ. That brings it all down to earth.
Oh, okay. Dang.
The Omniverse is the realm of the kingdom of Jesus Christ.
Sure. Okay. Well, yeah, that brings it down real fast. So here we are, folks. We are in the kingdom. For those who choose to be here, and for those who choose to continue to occupy hell, which is what you see on like the TV, you're welcome to continue to do so. But we have free will. We can delay, but we cannot deny that we are here for a purpose, and that purpose is not whatever the hell this shit is.
One thing I should say, this is a caveat to people, is the light is expanding at a exponential level that's turning all darkness into shadow, into smoke. So if you remain where you are in Muckdom, I mean, that's another thing I came up with today, Andrew, is 2025 isn't an Earth year like 1922. 2025 is a quantum leap from the 20th century to the 25th century. And that's why there's so much chaos and everything, because we're condensing 5 centuries into 1 year.
Okay. Damn. All right. I usually want to have the pause button for life, not the fast forward button. But I guess maybe the fast forward's good too. I don't know. Or it's not even fast forward. It's just we're skipping a part. Okay. Cool. It definitely feels like things are moving fast. I will say that.
Right.
Um,
Well, basically, I mean, people are going to like jump on my case for this, but Trump is the president from the 25th century. So get used to it.
yeah. Okay. Holy shit. What does that mean?
It means that not only does he have access to Tesla's time travel technologies through his uncle, but it also means that what I'm saying about what I'm talking about when I'm talking about 64,000 years in the future, and every dale is planned until that time, it means that we are outside linear timelines. We are now in quantum time. And therefore, everything is happening simultaneously, and what is actually would have occurred in the 25th century has now been transplanted to here because we're beginning a whole new cycle replacing everything since 1984, which was which was the time of the beast with the Reagan beginning it. Ronald Wilson Reagan, 666.
Yeah. Well, I don't. My opinion is he certainly is part of the awakening process. uh, I think for me, he has illustrated where I still have programming that tells me to give my power away because I'll get sucked into whatever narrative is out there.
Right.
And yeah, I don't doubt that he has ability. Well, that's a it seems like a legit story if he has time traveling abilities. I don't know. That's going pretty far off
Well,
the rails.
I
But
mean, we've gone over this, but actually, his uncle, John Trump, is the keeper of all the files of Tesla that the government didn't confiscate.
yeah,
And
no, I'm aware.
maybe even the papers say did confiscate. They did confiscate. So, there, that, and Tesla was famous for his time travel ideas.
Yeah. No, I went down that rabbit hole not too long ago. It was on Tesla's birthday. I started researching Nikola Tesla and found out he lived in Colorado Springs for 9 months. Whereas
I think that was our first episode, actually.
probably, yeah, probably.
Yeah,
So yeah, we definitely have keyed off of Tesla and John Trump. Is that what you said?
I think it's John Trump. Yeah,
Yeah.
his uncle.
So whatever. I mean, that's history. That's a story, and maybe it's an interesting story. I don't know. This collective dream is getting weirder and weirder. That's all I know. And and if it's because of time travel, then that sure okay that makes sense. Like because it's fucking weird, and so fine. That it's creating all kinds of ripples in reality, and yeah, we're shaking things up to leap to something different. Fine, sure, cool.
So lift the veil one more time, Dale. Dude. The fact, this is what's really going on. We're converting old Earth into, well, we talked about frequencies and the 9 frequencies of the dialena, about basically the bottom 3 lower frequencies have been shut down. So the people are now being forced to speak on 4th, 5th, or 6th dimensional levels. So basically, what's happening is that we're all raising our consciousness, and the I, I got lost in my frequencies. So once again, so okay, well, I'll go into so basically we have 3 basic frequencies that have been at the basis of mankind for basically 5,000 years at least, which are like food, shelter, and water. So those are the survival frequencies. But those have been shut down, and we're now entering into the next 3 levels of frequencies. And you and I, and not only you and I, but many other people on YouTube are reaching an awareness that the communication of these higher frequencies is right now the goal and the job of people who are enlightened. And that's what we're doing. And so I don't take particular credit for being who I am, but I know that I am special, and I also know that I speak truth. And as I often used to quote, I said, reality is a creativity left in the wake of your dreams, but absolute reality is the ultimate narcissistic fantasy. So I'm still pursuing absolute reality, but it's also being reflected in the world, not only in Hackensack, but through people like you, Andrew, and people that are beyond Lou Dale, beyond the old Dale. They're new people who are seeing Dale beyond his psychosis and beyond his diagnosis and beyond his lunacy, and who actually never knew anything about him when he was going through that.
Correct. Hell yeah. Yeah, that's the point. That's what we're here. That's what we're doing. If you're here now and you have a sense of what we're talking about, that's what we're here for. And the frequency is shifting. I feel it. I don't know. There's like an unfolding to it that creates like a level of excitement / mystery, because it's not static. I think that's the point. This absolute reality, I think they were referring to, is not a fixed point, and so that's what keeps it sort of like interesting.
So it's interesting you should say fluid, because that brings up my second poem for the day. So
Okay.
this is also from my new collection. It's called Some Straight Out Dew Thought. Reality is fluid, not static, and flows, always around us, so structure seen secure because of the avatar manipulation that attracts all dreams and illusions from unfiltered brains striving to intuit what's behind the curtain of the veil of the holiness of the Most High King, to whom we are forever grateful, converging into the final completion of the celestial phase now apparent. To all except those who archaic ideas block the focused gaze of the romantic living out of the abyss of their ignorance and refusal to perceive the world tsunami of cosmic evolution immersing the planet. Past the delusion of a huge being to conceive organism as the one, beyond concept of our cosmic home, where we watch event on the tube reflecting justice of God's judgment.
You and God's judgment, bro. Like, relax. That's a story. That's for sure a story, bro. But I
Well,
like the rest of it. I mean, we're pointing to a shift in reality, I think, is the essence of it. Yeah? And this tsunami of
evolution.
consciousness. Yeah, yeah, like you said, the 500-year jump. Sure. Yeah. Feels closer to true than whatever is being spoken about. So, good.
So, well, just in, about God's judgment and everything. That's basically. I was talking to my former pastor, and we were talking about politics, and he says, I said, well, basically, it's all duck wars now because Fred, first off, Fred is God's judgment, so that's why, I'm aware of it. But secondly, you know, I said, so Fred's dead, so now it's back to duck wars, Huey versus Donald. And my pastor says, I think the judiciary is the only thing that will save us. And that's who I am. Hackensack City, the highest court.
Yeah.
I'm the fiduciary, I'm the judiciary moderating these battles between Maine and the capital.
Yeah.
And that's why nothing's blown up yet, because everybody knows. And I've told everybody on social media, and they all believe me.
Yeah. Well, that's I mean, that's as good a story as anyone else's, so I'm here for it. Yeah.
And I have 70 years of days on Earth to back it up too. That I'm speaking with authority.
There you go. There you go. That's some real experience. Good. Well, I'm glad the highest court is taking care of it. The judiciary will save us. Like, yikes, bro.
Not the Earth judiciary, the duck judiciary.
I understand. So, which one was he referring to?
Well, he was referring to, well, he in duck in
He's,
duck wars it doesn't matter
well, it
because
doesn't. But the point is,
I didn't ask whether he was supporting Trump or
no. The point is, he's looking for a savior.
right. Well, he's a pastor, so
Yeah. So, no one's coming to save you. That's the thing. It's not.
right.
That's not how any of this works. Not Trump. Not the judiciary. Not Kamala. Whoever the fuck else comes next. That none of them are coming to save you. They don't give a shit about you. They're.
That's where we're different at. Drew Christ, LorDEWGod, and Drew Christ are here to help people, not to save people, but to
No.
help people.
No.
No,
No.
you aren't.
You can save yourself.
Well, I am. I figure that just by my presence, by talking, people are going to feel better.
Yeah, sounds close. I don't feel worse, so I must feel better. No, this has been an enjoyable chat. I don't know. We're wandering around a little bit, but I think we're going somewhere, and I hope people kind of get a feel for like what's coming in here, because like the old stuff is so lame. Like, bleh.
Right.
Let's move on already. Like, why are we clinging to this garbage? It's literally garbage, like hot garbage. It's like you let it go.
I saw something last night. She said, "Your human life is complete." She says, if you're seeing this on September 9th, this is the day your human life is completed. So
Yeah,
that doesn't mean that I'm not going to die, but means that everything be up to The lunar eclipse on Sunday is now complete, and it's a complete story, and I can basically publish a book.
Well,
So,
in order to move into the new, the old has to die. It's
right,
just how it is. Every shamanic tradition ever has talked about a death that you experience in order to have new life. The
right,
Bible talks about a death you experience in order to have new life. Christ showed us that he could die and then have new life. That's really what that was about, right? It was like, hey, this is what's possible, yo, and and so we have an example that there is more possible, and you know, those who were hardcore Christians, he literally said, well, Yeshua said, greater things will you do. So
right.
we're supposed to be doing greater things. It's not some like mountaintop that can never be achieved. It's like possible here and now. It just requires embracing the truth of who we are as a creation of God in His image.
Right. And get over the fear that God's going to condemn us if we say that we're Him.
Well, that's exactly the point. I'm not saying I'm him, but I'm also not saying that. And if that you can't understand that, that's fine. You don't need to. Yeah, that's like
Right.
it's day 3 stuff at least. You know, day 1 is just having an awareness that the program that is running you was not written by you.
Right. Which gets back to
So you might
according.
want to rewrite it with code that you actually believe and not bullshit. How about that?
And that gets back to our basic talk about we were going to talk about conspiracy. Conspiracy is breathing together and having a common goal. And I was looking for my dictionary. I couldn't find my dictionary, so I can't read what the meaning of the a definition of a conspiracy is. But I do know it's been bastardized and demonized to the point where its original purity has been totally sullied by half-assed journalists who just want to cause trouble. And our conspiracy is a conspiracy of love, of unity, but also of understanding that the Lord not only is within you, but also, even if He's without you, He's a loving Father and He doesn't want to send you to hell forever.
Yeah, that's close enough. I mean, the world is innocent. That's how I see it at this point. And so it's a moving target. My view has evolved over the years, but uh, I really do think we're projecting our reality out into the world, and we're receiving the reflection back. And so everything that's out there is you. So you can't. There's no actual separation. It's all you. And so if you don't like it, then examine where the belief comes from that makes that real for you, and replace it with one that's true. And it's it that's the process. That's how you move beyond it, and it requires vigilance and like um a, a being able to feel when something isn't sitting quite right. Right, the feeling state
Right,
is like our clue, the antenna.
right, right. So basically, I think the most important thing every person has to like think about is at what point am I going to let die the domesticated self that I have become and that's keeping me from being the true potential that I came to Earth to realize.
Yes. That's literally like the 6th chapter of the Four Agreements is letting go of the delusion, and it's beautiful. Yeah, that's awesome. I think that's a good place to stop.
Okay. Well, not going. I'll put details about Live Love in the description. Not going to go into it now, but yeah. So we got two poems and any closing thoughts? Thank you very much for attending. I hope this has been eye-opening, and you know, ultimately, if you like this, and then subscribe. Andrew, is ever a pleasure. I hope I'm always trying to be aware not to steal the spotlight too much. So I hope we had a pretty equal conversation, and have a great night, everybody. And Andrew, I'll just let you say goodbye because you say hello.
Well, today is a beautiful day, just like all the other days, and enjoy it. We love you guys.
Okay.